But this song really says that God is our Jehovah Jireh. He is our provider, amen? And we have to hold on to that truth. It's a song by Martha Munizzi, Because of Who You Are.
Because of who you are, I give you glory. Because of who you are, I give you praise. Because of who
As a guest in Auburn City, Auburn, Washington. You know, a few years ago, my wife and I were in Honolulu just at the time that the marathon was being run. We decided that we were going to see the race since we were there, and that meant getting up very early in the morning to watch it begin because it started just after sunrise.
I don't know, I know she's divorced, and so I didn't know her married name now. And I did talk to her, or sent mail to her ex-husband, but I haven't heard anything back from him, Jeff Houston. So if anybody gets any information, please let me know. Several people I sent letters to, some people I talked to, and I wish we could have had a little more better turnout, but this is good.
Have we lost?
I better read down the list here. John Cartwright, Larry Gann, and Diana's going to tell you a little bit about him. Jim Mosley. And let's see, Debbie Richardson, of course, she was the first in our class to pass away. Gary Ripley, he didn't graduate with our class, but attended with us. And that's really about it. Oh, I wanted to give a little update on Beverly Zolman. Talked to her brother, Frankie, who's a pastor, and he said that she is in the early stages of Alzheimer's, some kind of dementia problem. And he didn't think it was good to tell her about this because he didn't think that she should attend. You know, you could write to her, I suppose, or maybe give her a call, but he didn't want me to call her or anything and talk with her about this today.
Where does she live?
She lives in, let me look here. Down southern Indiana, no.
She goes about her.
Her married name is, what about Mark Bauer? Mark Bauer, we have an address for him, but he didn't respond to us. I sent him a letter and invited him. Has anybody seen him or talked to him recently? In the last year or two? Yeah, his hair's got longer than there's my
What we're going to do is we're going to have you close your eyes, and then I count 1, 2, 3, open your eyes, and everybody will be open.
Oh, what an idea.
All right, so
Close your eyes.
okay, one, close your eyes.
Casey, don't forget to take a
2,
picture.
3, open your eyes.
That's good. Only one?
Your claim to fame is short-lived. One shot.
He got him while he was working.
Yeah, he did. I did.
Shorter. Oh, there's a bee right in my face. Is that it? Good. Are we all? All right. Okay, you're official now. That's great. Casey, good.
That's when you say came back from the mission. Are you the official photography? Yes, he is. I'm my wife's official. Yeah. Over here. Everything that she has.
Is she not going to have it okay. World's best photographer
doing intensive care, emergency room, and presently the old place, parole nurses outpatient department. And this is my husband Bill. I've been married to him for 30 years. And we have one son, Nicholas, who's 22, and he's a senior at Southern Adventist University this year. And we like to do traveling. We've been all over the United States, and of course, haven't been to Europe yet, but Mexico seems to be one of our favorite places. Yeah. Been on a couple of mission trips out to near Guam, and down to Belize. And somebody was asking, do you still like sports? Yes, I still like to do sports. I like the golf. I'm not real good at it, but I enjoy it. Like to water ski still.
Janet, where'd you go in Belize?
We started out in Belize City, and then we went to Loma Luz Mission.
Was there a nurse that ran the mission there?
Was there a nurse that ran it?
Yeah.
At that time?
I haven't had much to do in life lately. I've only been married 4 times. 2 kids, 3 grandsons. I guess I'm a little much that they can handle or something. I'm not sure what it is. But anyhow, I have a real estate company, Westside Realty, and I've had that for about 11 years. I am a truck runner and work out of my home. I live just about a block from my daughter, which is great. I take my grandson back to school and pick him up from track and whatnot. And then my son lives a mile and a half from us, so take care of his 2. He's got a 6-year-old. Monday stinks. But go to Plainfield Christian Church. That's about enough, I guess. Hit it, Jamie!
Jamie Perlard, and I have 2 daughters, 31 and 29, and a son that's 18. And he's heading off to college this year. I have an 8-year-old granddaughter who's in Cincinnati. And I'm a gynecologist. I used to be an OB/GYN. I dropped OB in January just because I didn't like the hours, and it's been awesome ever since. I've been very happy.
I bet you didn't like the insurance.
So I do routine gynecology, and I did some training in 2007 for some cosmetic gynecology from the people that you see on TV. Training in just for fun, I still play guitar quite a bit. Got into a little more of electric, less acoustic. I did some auto racing for a while. Did a lot just for fun in Indiana, and I've been all over the Midwest really. Joined a bunch of amateur friends of mine, and we had a car and actually ran the 2004 Daytona 24-hour race in 2004. And that was very, very much fun. And that's about it. Word.
Dr. D. Let's see, I graduated from Purdue in 1975. Worked at Hinsdale Hospital for 10 years. And then from there I went down to Jellicoe, Tennessee, which is in the hills of eastern Tennessee, right on the Kentucky-Tennessee border, and was down down there for 11 years. And then I moved to Rochelle, Illinois, which is, if you're on the lakefront in Chicago and go directly west, it's about 90 miles from the lakefront. And I've been there now for 14 years. My wife Debbie died of ovarian cancer in 2002, and I just got remarried in February of this year. Went down to Key West, and there was, for $675, you can get a wedding ceremony. 50 pictures on CD, so if you're ever interested, I can and one of my really interesting trips was in 2006. I had a friend who I'd worked with at a hospital, and he was over in Kabul, Afghanistan, running the largest orthopedic hospital in Kabul, and he asked me to come over. So in 2006, I went over to Afghanistan for 3.5 weeks, and it was the most fascinating 3.5 weeks of my life. The first day there, I was looking all over, waiting for the bombs to go off, and after I figured that they weren't out to kill me, it was very interesting, fascinating, driving around the country, and just really a trip that I always remember. That's about it.
Well, I'm Diana Simons, and I have 2 kids. My daughter's 38, my son is 34. They both live in Arizona, which is a good thing. And my daughter has a daughter, and she has a son. And so you know what that makes me? Really old. Really old. And I'm married 25 years to my second husband, and we live on a farm in northern Indiana, which was his home place, and I'm a nurse, was a nurse. 5 years ago, I got burned out, and I decided to stay home and be a housewife, and that's the best job I've ever had, but it pays not great, but benefits are wonderful. That's it.
Bill Tyler. Left buddy. No, I've, let's see, since I left school, I've been various places in the United States. Live and to work. Lived in Mississippi for 12 years. Had my own construction company there. Doing a lot of remodelings there during the time of Katrina, when it came through. I guess the most ironic thing about Katrina was it was a hurricane that was 300 miles in total width. From the eye of the hurricane out was 150 miles. And it reached all the way to Jackson, Mississippi, just from the center. And all of my neighbors around me, we had pecan trees in our yard.
Yeah,
we had 6 pecan trees in our yard, and they had numerous pecan trees. Everybody lost pecan trees but me. Not one tree was damaged in our yard. And at the time that the hurricane was coming, I was on a prayer line out of California with a group out there. And we was praying that the hurricane would turn to something. At 10 minutes before the hour it should have hit New Orleans, it made a sharp turn to the right, which left New Orleans, went out through Slidell and all that. And that's the only reason why New Orleans, to this day, if it had hit it, it would have been no more New Orleans. That's just how devastating it would have been. But afterwards, I worked for the conference, South Central Conference, to evaluate all the damage to our churches in that area and members' homes, because the conference was going to try to help. And I tell you, if you've never seen a war zone, it looked just like a war zone. I've seen 100-foot pines, where there may be in a field of, say, 100 of them, all cut off at the same height. Every one of them just cut off the same height. I've seen storefront buildings where the front of them were just sucked out, and just homes that were, roofs were just lifted off. And you know, when I looked at all that, and you know, and I had this one tree in my yard that was dead. It literally was dead. I mean, I could probably just push it over. It did not even lift that tree out of the ground. And then we had another storm, about 3 or 4 months later. And I went out, and there the tree was laying on the ground. And you know, and I think that when I looked at that and I realized the devastation of the hurricane, is to see the magnificent hand of how God can keep things in control. And I tell you what, if you lived through Katrina and you didn't believe that God existed, I promise you, you would definitely believe it after that. But I've got left there, was there for 12 years, left there, came back to Indiana. My mother turns 90 years old next year. So I come back, bought a home, moved her in with me. I got 3 grandsons, I got 2 sons. My oldest son graduated from here in 1992. I had stepchildren that graduated from here in 90, prior to that, put it like that. But other than that, I'm just still getting old, waiting for retirement, and in hopes that if I am alive when the Lord comes, that I'm ready. It's your turn, man.
My turn. I'm Beth Thompson.
So you're making
Beth Thompson. I guess everyone knows I didn't get to finish here my senior year, which I really hated, but my mother passed away my senior year. And I think God gave us that time to spend together. Because I was always the daddy's girl, and Mom and I got really close that last year. She died in January of my senior year. And so after that, I wanted to get married and have children and have a family. I needed to find that love that was gone out of my life. And so I now have 5 daughters, as I went around and showed everyone my picture. I'm very proud of them. I think I kind of lived my life through my daughters. I'm very proud of them. They're very athletic. I enjoy life a lot. I've worked at Scott Memorial Hospital for 24 years. I'm not a nurse. I've managed Quality Care Express. I've done different things there, billing, registration. Right now I'm working in an ortho doctor's office as manager. I have a 150-pound Labrador Retriever, which he loves me very much, and when he likes to jump on me, I usually end up getting pretty hurt. That's it.
I'm Marcia Upstead, Haluska, and just thanks to my husband, I guess that we had that 20-year remembrance time. I think he's maybe in the car sleeping, I don't know. Anyway, I came here just my senior year, so there's a few of you I don't know personally, except through other reunions and such. And I've spent the majority of my married years in the South. We've been at Southern College, it's been several names since we came. 27 years I think it is now, and 21 of those now I'll have been teaching grade school. This is my 20th year in 2nd grade. And so I'm working with that, lots of little ones. And my 2 boys are both married now, 30 and 32. And our son, younger son, called us about 2 weeks ago and said they think his wife is pregnant, so I guess I'll be looking at something a lot of people have already in a few months, if everything goes well. That's about it.
I'm Daniel Stepp. Most folks, I guess, just knew me as Dan Stepp. And I'm shocked when I looked at the picture of 20 years ago. I still had some color in my hair. I practiced after leaving Indiana Academy. I went to Andrews University and graduated there with mathematics, and went to Loma Linda School of Medicine. practiced medicine 23 years. I'm currently retired, and I kind of tried to get into the house building trade.
Wrong year for that,
For some reason, the opportunity opened up for me to join the seminary, not at Andrews University, but down at Southwestern in the in-ministry program, and I'm studying for a Master of Arts in Pastoral Ministry. So I have no idea where that'll lead, but I'm led, more like driven. And so this has been a wonderful experience for me. I am remarried. I have 2 daughters and a son. They're all up in the Berrien Springs area. And I'm happy to be here today.
We're happy you're here.
Your turn, Steve.
Okay. I'm Steve Terry. After graduating here, I went to Louisville, Kentucky, and spent 2 years in trade school there, and worked for the Army for 4.5 years after that in the Lexington area, Kentucky. Moved back home, worked with my dad for several years, doing carpenter work. And 6 years ago, I fell and got retired. So I've been recovering from that. Thankful that the Lord has led as He has in all of that, because that morning when the neurosurgeon came in to check me over after I'd come in the night before, I could see in his eyes that he intended to put me in a wheelchair with a couple of ostomy bags. And I guess I would say that he got fooled that time. L2 was damaged very bad. For those of you that know about medicine, that's a critical area in your back. But I'm happy to be here. And if you look in the annual, you know, the little saying there that they put in there with your name, I found out what the hurry was. I volunteered for about 25 years on rescue, fire department, rode 5.5 years on ambulance full time. So, yeah, I kind of figured it out. It's your turn.
I'm going to stand up because I can't see everybody's faces. I wanted to see you guys when you were talking. Rub your neck, I'm Sandy Wellman, now Madden. This is my husband Ed. We've been married 29 years. We put a family together. I had 2 children from a previous marriage and he had 3. And we've been really blessed because sometimes that's hard to do. And we have a great family. We have one girl who's 43. Kent is 44. She has 4 children, and then our son Kent is 40, and he's a chief in the Navy, and has 3 great kids, and they're horse people, which we don't quite get. But we go to the shows, you know, so that's something we're good grandparents. They actually, our granddaughter qualified for the World Championships in barrel horse racing, so that was really exciting for us. She came in, 7th out of whatever. Did very well.
She got the buckle.
Yeah, she got the buckle. It's all about the buckle. Then let me see, we have Brad, who is 37 and still not married. Waiting for the right girl. an awesome kid. He's a stellar kid. Then Michael is 35. That's mine. Brad, and Michael are mine. And then the youngest is Charlie. So 10 grandkids altogether, which is awesome. What? One great grandchild. I forgot about that. Yeah, that's new. That's the new person on the block. So, we have some wonderful kids, and that's just been a great thing for me because I was an only child. And some of you that knew me pretty well. My dad left when I was 3. Matter of fact, it's so funny. This is the room. I really never saw my dad, and I was in my senior year here. And somebody said there's this great looking guy in the hallway, and he knocked on this door, and the teacher came and got me, and it was my dad. And so when we walked into this room today, it was like, whoa, you get these flashbacks. So I was just raised by a single mom, and I think probably for us, the biggest thing for us is Jesus is just everything to us. We were radically changed, and we have such a blessed life. And Ed got cancer. I was a Christian musician on the road for several years, put out 2 albums, and write a lot of my own music. And he got cancer in '93, very rare cancer, and they gave him a 10% chance of survival. And here he is. He has no quads in his legs, and you guys would never know it.
Can't walk.
He's not supposed to be walking, but I guess probably that was why that's so important. We always talk about that is because, there are things that happen that take you down roads that you might not want to go, but you get an opportunity to meet people that would never know who Jesus is. And that was an opportunity for us just to be able to talk to a lot of people about the Lord. And so it was a good time. And now we're doing something radically crazy. We opened this coffee shop 6.5 years ago. It's a Christian coffee shop in a little town of Plymouth. And he's an awesome cook. And so we've just been sharing Jesus to people for 12 hours a day. And we just run this great little place. It's an upscale coffee resort called Java Trail. If you're ever in Plymouth, please stop by. He loves to feed people. My only claim to fame is I don't weigh 500 pounds. So I won't talk anymore, but it's great to see all of you. So good to see all of you. It's so neat to be able to look into somebody's eyes and know that you still know who they are from 40 years ago. That's amazing.
One of those.
Oh yeah, that's right. The 5-year-old, she's next to the youngest grandchild right now. I took her to the ballet, to the Nutcracker last Christmas. She dances all over the place. And she said, Grandma, how do I get on that stage? And I said, well, this was at the Morris Civic in South Bend, so if you've never been there, it's a great place. And I said, well, honey, you have to practice. She tried out in September and just got the news that she was accepted, and she's going to be a mouse in the Nutcracker. And she's 5, so we're excited.
I'm Dave Phillips. After graduating, went back to Dayton, Ohio. Within about a year, Weiss and I got married, started a family. I got drafted into the Army, and this is an interesting side note related to Larry Gann. When I got sent overseas to Vietnam, I was a medic, and for a short period of time, I met Larry, who was just finishing his tour over there, getting ready to come home, and I was just getting ready to start mine, and we had about an hour or so to talk. And I replaced Larry's job. I became a medic in his platoon after he left. I thought, wow, what's the odds of 2 guys that are graduated at a very small school, small class, end up in the same place doing the same thing? I just thought that was always, and so one of the things I really wanted to do today was talk to Larry. And then I find out he died a couple of years ago. In the meantime, survived that, came home, went to college, became a registered nurse. Weiss and I have 2 great sons. One's 39, the other one's 32. The 32-year-old just got married last year in the Bahamas. We had a great time down there. If you ever get a chance to Bahamas, go. I've worked, had the opportunity to work with some fine doctors in my career. I've been doing ophthalmology for like 39 years. Had great opportunities in that field to advance and get a lot of training and learning. I just have a great life with my wife. And we enjoy every day. We get up every day and thank the Lord for how much we're blessed. So, and I hope it continues on this way.
Ron?
Ron Norton. And right now, I've been married for 37 years. Got 2 children, 5 grandchildren. And as I told my wife when we had the first grandchild, it's the kids that decide when you become grandparents, not you. So she didn't want to be called grandma to start out with. It was Nama. She didn't want to agree to being a grandma yet. And 2 youngest grandchildren just turned a year old. My son had a little girl, and my daughter has 3 boys. She's always wanted a girl, but didn't know whether she wants to try again because I didn't know that she wants 4 boys. But, as they say, if you had the opportunity, the grandkids ought to come first. I worked for Andrews University as their plumber, and I had been doing that for about 20 years. I did have a 10-year stint where I worked for another company in their wastewater treatment plant. That's basically what I've been doing for the last 7 years.
3 years difference in age, but 4 classes apart. None of you and I were here at the same time. I think most of you heard the news, and I actually am very optimistic. My sister, if her physician had allowed it, she would have been here instead of in the operating room on Monday. But he said, absolutely not. You're not going anywhere. Saw her on Friday and removed a cyst on Monday, and she went home yesterday. So she's doing very well, and just the biggest thing was that she just wanted to be here so much. So, and I think some of you from Andrews know that she is the internal auditor at Andrews University and is married to Marvin Budd, who is part of the computer department at Andrews. So she's been from, let me see, he started at PUC, they were married, then to Washington, D.C. General Conference, then to Fort Wayne for a while, then to the Indiana Conference Auditor. Several of you, I guess, know her and see her. And she still is at part-time, and then she's part-time now at the university. So I guess someone has said they passed some notes around. I will see her again in the morning. I'm going back to South Bend yet tonight. And I'm going to stay for a couple more days and then head back, and then probably come back in a couple weeks.
Well, I actually came in '68 when I left. I went home. And I worked at Kettering Hospital, and then I decided, well, I need to get my high school diploma, so I went to Spring Valley Academy in Centerville, Ohio, and well, graduated. I've been married for 37 years, and I have 3 children and 6 grandchildren. I work at Studio Plus Hotel, and my husband and I trucked for 9 months and went all over the place, man. Saw a lot of places. But I didn't like it because I don't like to drive a big truck.
Is more Benjamin, you know, that I married Charles. We've been married 38 years. And we had 4 boys. My oldest is 37. And the youngest is here with me back there. He's 25. He's a math teacher in high school. My oldest son, he's a nurse at a hospital in Atlanta. He went to Iraq for a year. My second son was in the Navy for 6 years. He still works for the Navy, the government. My third son, he's in the Navy. And my 4th son, he's just a high school teacher, and he wants to join the Air Force. I've sacrificed all my kids to the government. And we still live in LJ, Georgia. And sadly, Charles and I aren't together anymore. but we're still married. We just don't live together. We still do things together. But anyway, that's I work at Gordon Hospital in Calvin, Georgia, and I've been there for 20 years, and that's about all I can think of. Judy?
I'm Judy McGregor Chicharetta. I've married my high school sweetheart from Texas, and we've been married 36 years. I have 3 children, Carissa, 32, Shelley, 31, and Nathan, 28. Have 2 grandchildren and another grandchildren coming next month. Both the girls are hygienists. Through my life, through the children too. Have lived not very many places. My husband finished college in Lincoln. Then 18 years in Eugene, and been in Boise ever since. Worked at Pacific Press for 11 years, and FTC.
Miss Thomas.
Donna?
Miss Thomas.
I'm Donna Thomas Hedrick, and I'm not going to give you all the details. You'll have to talk to me personally for those. I'll just say the highlights. After I left here, I would say I really didn't think I was college material, but somehow I did get to Andrews, and I went to Kettering College of Medical Arts for a 2-year nursing degree. Worked a year and then went back to Andrews and got a Bachelor of Science. And I would say it was my last year at Andrews that I finally made something more than a C. I made A's and B's, and that actually gave me some confidence as I went on. I got married, had 3 absolutely wonderful boys. They are the hallmark of what I'm proud of in my lifetime. And 2 of them are married. And I have my first little granddaughter who is just absolutely precious. My oldest son graduated from medical school along with his wife. They got married in the afternoon out in California. So that was very exciting for us a few years ago. And he is now in his 5th year of surgery residency. So my kids are smart. They're probably because of their dad. But so we were divorced in '87. And then I had to go out in the world and find a job to take care of my 3 boys. And that's really where I gained my confidence. I worked for a pharmaceutical company, started as a sales girl, and if you knew me very well, you knew I was just a tad shy. So going out and actually talking to physicians about a drug just nearly scared the living daylights out of me. But I did it, and then I ended up my career with them as a director of managed care, managing people for 14 states and getting product on formulary, and was very successful. So unbeknownst to me, my journey became very different than what I thought, and I just retired. So that has really been an adjustment because I've been on the road for 4 days a week for 10 years, and now I'm in one place. And the phone doesn't ring. So I'm actually taking care of my granddaughter because Sarah, my daughter-in-law, is going to be employed. So one of the things that she recently wrote me is that she felt very confident because of this choice that I made to quit my job and take care of her, that she's going to feel safer knowing that her daughter is well taken care of. So that's my gift to my sons, and I'm just loving it. So that's it. If you want to know anything more than that, you can speak to me later.
I'm Don Reed. I've been trying to figure out what I would say. The Lord's been very kind to me. When I left the school here, I went to Andrews for 4 quarters and then dropped out because I enjoyed construction work so much. I couldn't figure getting a degree in something I didn't really care for. So when I dropped out, I started working in Columbus, Ohio, with a guy that I had worked with before. I ended up going in business for myself, and I told Donna, I said, I got a new house, and I got a new Camaro, and I thought, well, you know, I'm awful lonely, and so I made a visit to Dayton, Ohio. That was before the days of Google and Super Pages, and I don't know how I found her address, but I went to the door, and her mother came to the door, just very kind, gracious, and said, well, "Why, Donna, she's going to be married next weekend." I said, "Oh, that's really wonderful."
There you are,
That's
Tony.
very wonderful. and so I said, "Well," she says, "you're more than welcome to come." I said, "Well, I'll think about that. That'd be wonderful." So I drove back to Columbus, Ohio. But I think my son is back here would thank me. Anyway, so by providence, a young lady that was destined to be my wife was a abandoned child in Colombia, South America, and some missionary families took her in, and she came to the United States and crossed paths with me at the church that I was attending near Cleveland. And so Cupid did his thing, and we got married, and then I had gone back to Andrews. I'd lost, let's see, I got ahead of myself there, but anyway, at some juncture along through there in 1975, I did lose my arm in a car accident on the way to Maranatha Project in West Virginia. But the Lord had other plans, and I didn't lose courage. So I went back to Andrews. I ended up marrying Leah Montiel, and we started our housekeeping there on Grove Street, which is now in a garage that's now torn down, and now is the entrance to Andrews University. I graduated, and I took up a job in, I can just ramble on, I just drifted too long in trying to get focused in life. I was in Buffalo, Wyoming for a while, and then I was in southwestern Colorado for a while, worked for Alani Oldham, who came to this campus for 1 quarter in 1966. It would have been the fall quarter of '66. And worked for them for a while, and then I had submitted my resume to a denominational building services in Lincoln, Nebraska, and they called me up one day, and I ended up going to working for them, built a church in Dallas, and then I did the Union College Library, that big dome glass thing. I didn't put my initials anywhere on it, but I built that. That was a remodel job from a warehouse into a library. But then I got connected with Don Kirkman out of Auburn, Washington, an Adventist architect, and he specializes in nursing homes and hospitals and things like that. So I remodeled a nursing home in Denver, and then down here in Mitchell, Indiana, south of Bedford. And let's see. And time she had called, I had this feeling, I wonder if she's going to call me back, because I didn't feel like I should be so aggressive. I was impressed with the girl. I'm sorry, this is going on too long. Anyway, make a long story short, I felt compelled to go out and see in person this person. So on the 3rd of June of 2003, I received my first phone call, 3 hours with Lael Abelman. And on the 13th of June, I drove out to Spearfish. And on the 23rd of June, I married Lael Abelman. And we've been married since, and there are some things we didn't cover. They weren't in the contract. They were not in the contract. I don't know how it happened. I overlooked those critical things, but you're right, Gordon. Maybe 6 months we could have covered them all. But once you sign the dotted line, it's been a good trip, and we're looking forward to being in heaven together. I'm anxious to meet my deceased wife and Pete.
Go very quick. Last time I was here in '68. This is always my class. I couldn't come back the senior year, but you know, Lord has His own plans. After graduating high school, Mary, I went to go to Puerto Rico to study. I missed college. I went to Puerto Rico 1 year there, and then I went to Andrews and Purdue. Anyway, then I found a job. I was paying more money than with a degree, so I stayed there for a while. And about 8 years ago, no, 6 years ago, I was involved in actions like Steve or a lot of you here. which put me in early retirement. So, you know, the Lord has, like I said, I was told I was going to live 30 days. You know, I was on life support for 30 days and stuff like that, and took 2 years for rehab. And meantime, they moved me to Colorado to get my rehab. To my daughter lived in Colorado, so I said, well, it don't matter where I'm at now. I need, you know, for rehab. So, anyway, both of my daughters live there, and that's where I ended up staying. And enjoying it. I got 2 grandkids, one 5-year-old boy and a 2.5-year-old granddaughter who thinks she's 6. Love them and enjoy being with them. In spare moment, I take care of them and volunteer a lot. I work with Customs, Immigration and Customs for the county jail and victim advocate. Also, I just work part-time in the medical business, you know. I love my job. I go when I want, work when I want, and the understanding is I do what I want there. So I can't complain. Great job. And if I don't feel like going to work, I don't. If I go to work an hour, I don't.
I get some moral support.
Well, I can't speak, because he always says that I think I'm in the classroom and I need 60 minutes. So I'll let my first husband of 54 years.
Well, a little disheartening to come here and find a number of you that don't remember who your sponsors were. So makes you feel really important. And we left here, well, some of you, I don't want to make this long, but I taught here 4 years, and I left 16 and 69 and went to the grade school and taught 4 years in 5th and 6th grade only, so I could be with my 2 boys. I had them in the classroom, not both of them all the time, but I had one of them in the classroom while I taught those grades, and then my wife stayed on here until 75, no, 3. And we spent 8 years here altogether, and then we went to College View Academy in Lincoln, Nebraska, where I took a job in music again because I wanted to be with my boys and I wanted to be their music teacher when they went to the academy. So that worked out. God led us every way throughout our lives very well. And I can't say enough about that because just 2 weeks ago we were camping academy where Mr. Lorenz, someone call you that? She celebrated her 60th of the academy.
He did the year before.
I did mine the year before, but you know. So anyway, it was a very spiritual thing that happened. The president of the class actually was the first one to speak, and he was a doctor, no, not a doctor, but anyhow, he was a minister and now works in the SCIP program out of Portland Hospital, I think it is. Anyway, he set the tone in so many of the class, and I'm not sure how all of you are going to be, like, how many years? In 20 years, how are you going to decide by then that you're going to have a closer walk with God? And it was really impressive because that attitude that he had taken going around the room like that just caught on like fire. And I sat there and stood there dumbfounded to hear people talking about how God had led them in the past and they were more determined to be with Him and have a relationship with Him. So I was hoping that, like all of you, can feel that, you know, like, why did we come here? Well, one of the reasons is, like, I got hold of a couple people, and then we were here in 2002 and saw Kathy Anderson. Anybody know where she is? She's not here, is she? She was here then, and I don't remember. Janet was here, and Dan, you were here, and I don't remember who else that we saw. But anyway, 2002 we were here, and from here we went on to the East Coast in Florence, South Carolina, where our son's a doctor, and we have 3 grand boys there. And on Sunday, Beverly was out playing ball with the boys, grandsons, and all the neighbor kids were there. She divides them up into sides, and she's quarterback all the time. And you know how that works. Anyhow, it gives them experience catching the ball. And anyhow, we went home that week, and the next Friday night she had a stroke.